And I'm gonna say this off the bat: it's the worst All-Star game ever. I'm gonna say that. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but for one, the rosters were lackluster. There were a lot of guys out here that wouldn't have been on here if other guys were healthy. 100%. And that's no insult. I always say this: there are guys who play like all-stars that may have not made the game. So I'm gonna give guys credit for playing at a high level, but Steph didn't play, Zion didn't play. We didn't get LeBron for the second half. We didn't even get Giannis for more than one play. So the rosters were depleted, essentially.
Yeah.
So that was one big thing. Steph, did I mention Steph wasn't there? KD wasn't there.
Devin
KD,
Booker.
Devin Booker.
Wasn't there?
So it's a lot of guys.
James Harden,
who should have been here. So a lot of guys just weren't playing.
The two captains didn't even play.
Yeah, really? Anthony Davis wasn't even here. So when you look at that, and then now you're kind of taking that and you're like, okay, this is a lackluster roster. I don't want to see a lackluster all-star roster have layup lines. That's all this game was. There was no point in time in the game where any team decided, like some of these all-star games, okay, they don't play defense until like late the fourth quarter. There wasn't one point in time in this game where anybody thought of remotely playing any defense. Anytime.
Well, I will say they kind of excuse me. I will say they kind of played a little bit of defense towards the end when Giannis was about to choke, Team Giannis was about to choke that lead away. But other than that was like an AAU game.
Yeah, it was like a minute and 30-second span where they could have came back. Like they could have made that game. That game could have been interesting. Like that fourth quarter, the way they ran it essentially was, it was first to 182, I think. And I know whichever team lost, I forgot if it was Team Giannis, Team LeBron, but they were down significantly. It didn't take that fourth quarter probably didn't take more than 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's why I was somewhere not like turned the game off. I was asking you, damn, the game already?
Yeah.
I was like, damn. But no, this is definitely, I don't know if it's the worst because I like I told Utah earlier, it's definitely been some all-star games in the like early 2010s that were bad just like this, where you see scores 150 to 120 like the West, because the West used to kill the East all the time, like obliterate the East. But it is definitely one of the worst. It was definitely one of the most boring for sure.
There was the little, I know, like the third quarter, they were like trading threes. That was pretty cool to see. And I'm gonna give credit to JB and Jayson Tatum 1v1 was dope. You know what I'm saying? But it just that was the only good part. But then let's zoom in on that. Why was that the best part? Because people want to see these guys go at each other. There were a couple of times where somebody go get a couple of buckets on them. Like I'm using this as an example. Let's say Tatum would have probably got a bucket on I'm gonna give a random name like Luka or something like that. Tatum would get a bucket on him, and then they wouldn't even give a couple times I'm watching the game, like, okay, he scored on you, better get him back. And the other team wouldn't even give the ball back to dude who just got scored on. In another, like in past All-Star games, even in the Rising Stars Challenge, like I think back in 2014, they let guys kind of go back and forth. There were so many missed opportunities to like make those like back and forth moments happen in this game. There was like we could have got more of those JB and Jayson Tatum moments in this game. That would have made it 10 times better. Like dudes didn't. It's almost like guys didn't even try to maintain like any competitive rhythm at all.
Yeah, you mentioned that 2014 Rising Stars game. I think I know which one you're talking about. You're talking about with Deion Waiters and Tim Hardaway Jr.
Where they went at it.
That's probably been the best like back and forth over the last 10 years. It wasn't even the All-Star game matchup.
I think that's the best All-Star weekend moment to me, outside of Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon. To me, that's the best All-Star weekend moment I've seen. You know what I mean?
And then in recent memory, at least since we've been, we've been watching it. I know. I think last week I was watching highlights of that 2001 All-Star game. That was probably the best one I've seen. But we didn't really watch that because we was kids. But, I will say that and Aaron Gordon, that was probably the best two that I've seen personally. And that's, you really think about it, that's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah. I think the best one, I think you are forgetting about this. This is one of the best ones. The back and forth Kobe and LeBron had. I don't know what year that was in, but I definitely remember it happening. I think it was like 2012, maybe somewhere around there. 2012, 2013. They had a back and forth. Kobe blocked LeBron shot.
Kobe clamping him down.
Yeah, Kobe clamped it down a little bit, and then Kobe stole the ball, and he not dunked on him, but like a dunk by LeBron missed the block. They kind of went back and forth. That was the best moment I've seen.
Yeah. Oh, so that was 2011 where Kobe like semi-dunked on LeBron, and then there was 2013 where Kobe clamped up LeBron.
Yeah, it might have happened twice more than just not in one game, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's just that like the guys in this game didn't. It's like they were. Sometimes dudes weren't even feeding the hot hand. Like they did a couple of times, but then they
bro. Man. I don't want to cut you off, but this pissed me off. Donovan Mitchell, low-key pissed me off.
No, he did. Yeah.
Jayson Tatum was hot as hell. Like he was making every three that he shot. Donovan Mitchell just didn't even pass the ball, just started shooting. I'm like, what are you doing? This dude got like 5 threes in a row. What are you doing?
It was at least like 3 or 4 possessions coming down. Jayson Tatum, the last possession, he was making shots. Donovan Mitchell, he's just going over there shooting 40-footers. Like, bro,
that made me mad.
It pissed me off. I was like, this, like, are you even trying to maintain the rhythm or anything? Like, like there were a lot of missed opportunities in this game to make it good. They could have been a much better fourth quarter, whatever the hell that was, and it just didn't happen. And like I said, it was just a glorified. There weren't even that many entertaining dunks in this game. There was like one dunk that like almost got me out my seat.
Literally the most entertaining dunks. I was just about to say the most entertaining dunks was probably in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Literally. Then that's it. That's it. Everything else was like, and was the shooting all that impressive? I mean, I know they were making shots, but was the shooting all that impressive? Because it's almost like these are the best basketball players on the planet. You're giving them open shots. So these are it became a shoot around in the third quarter. So those back and forth threes, these guys do this all the time. It's great they can make them. But it's a glorified. That third quarter was a glorified shoot around. It was nothing but a glorified shoot around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just because like a lot of these threes, they can definitely make them unguarded. I say they're professional athletes. You don't think they can make a lot of these deep ass threes wide open with nobody guarding them?
These dudes were just doing practice shots.
So that's why that's why I know what you mean when you say it's not impressive, because a lot of these deep ass, like Dame was shooting some deep ass threes, but some of them wasn't guarded. Jayson Tatum shot some. A lot of them wasn't guarded. So it's just like easy shots for them. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
My question is this, and this may be a complex question. Look, I'm always on the side of the players, right? I always side with the players every single time. But my thing for the All-Star game is simply this, and we say this every single year. It is supposed to be the best pickup game on earth. Basketball, what makes basketball such a beautiful sport is there's a lot. I don't think there's a sport that's got more one-upsmanship than basketball. You can literally go get a guy back if he gets you one. Like in football, I mean, only like the DB and wide receiver thing is cool, but you don't really get to see what happens there until the replays. And it's not, you can go get a guy back or whatever the case may be. Basketball, you get a dude back, so people want to see that in pickup games. My question for y'all is this. Why don't these guys put the effort in these games? If you could come up with an answer, why?
I mean, because they don't care. If they cared, they would do it.
True.
That's all it comes down to. They really, I can say that. They don't care. Because if they cared, I mean, if you look at some of the older games, like before like say what 2008, 9, or 10, these dudes were actually like competing. You go back to the 90s, early 2000s, these dudes were actually competing like it was an actual regular season game because they cared about making a good product. Now it's just like, oh, well, let me get mine, let me put on my own show, and I don't like it is what it is. There's no real competition factor to it.
None at all. But here's what I don't get. These guys will go harder. I know these are workouts. They'll go hard because the other thing I've heard is the injury thing, or they're scared to get hurt. Man. These dudes go hard in the Drew League. They go hard. A Drew League game with some semi-pro guys is more entertaining than this game. Think about that.
That's a good point, because when we saw players play in the Drew League like this summer, like even LeBron, I think who else played in? I can't remember anything because he was like the biggest.
DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, it was some big name players that played in the Drew League. They definitely played like tight ass defense. Like nobody was giving breathing room, anything. So if you're gonna put more effort into a Drew League game with like probably, let's be honest, it's probably 50 people in the little stadium. 50?
No, it's way more. It's way more than that. Hell of people in them.
It'd be like a high school. Yeah, it'd be like a high school gym. That's why I thought that. But whatever, a small one. But the case may be like it's way less people in those gyms like that. But then you can't play hard for like 15,000 people.
And on TNT? And
on TNT,
on live TV,
on worldwide television.
Yeah,
and you
man.
get incentives for playing the All-Star game. You don't get incentives for Drew League.
And this is one of the most marketed events. Like, this is what separates the NBA from the NFL is their marketing for their All-Star like events is off the chain. They do so much. They roll out a bunch of different stuff. We get to the biggest event and guys just aren't competing. You know what I mean? And like I said, dudes did it back in the 2001s and all of that. Man, they did it back in 2020. Remember what in 2020, everybody was hyped for it. And then after that, you know, that it was a real competitive game. You know, the year I think Kobe passed, you know, everybody was hyped. Okay, is this the way the All-Star game is going to be?
That was the first year they implemented that, right?
Yep. But then they never did it again. But it also happened in 2018. 2018 was one of the years where they were like, let's try to be more competitive. It's when they had the black and white jerseys. I forget where it was. They actually had a pretty competitive game down the stretch. Yep, in LA. Yep. And guess what? It didn't happen again. They had to go back. You know, so it's never consistent. So I don't know what it's about. Here's my question. Are dudes scared to really go at one another in these games? Are they scared to really compete? Because I just don't get it. There's no desire to want to go out there and really show, yo, I can be the best guy out here on this court.
Yeah.
It's gotta be somewhat competition, dude. I don't understand it. I really don't. Like, to be this, I don't know. You really did bring up a great point of how sporadic. Just like it's like every so often, every once in a while, they decide to say, "Oh, well, let's be competitive. Let's do it like this."
Yeah.
And then you think like after that it produces a good game, and you think like after that, oh, this is how they're gonna do it. And then for what next 2-3 years, it's just like whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really feel like it's a competition thing, which is crazy to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I don't know. It's simply even though it might be a competition thing, like it still doesn't make sense. They're at the highest level of professional sports. Why are you not competing to win the best? I don't get that.
It makes no sense.
This explains, I'm gonna just say it like this because everybody's thinking it. This explains why 7 dudes in the league scoring above 30 points per game. Let's be honest. Yeah. This is why. Okay, I'm gonna be fair. They don't play defense this badly during the regular season, obviously, but this to me explains why so many dudes averaging 30.
It's a lot to that. There's a lot of stuff to that. Like, I think for one, spacing is at a level it's never been before.
It's a lot of switching, but
and a lot of that. So I think that could be it too. But I mean, especially like I don't know if it's a generational thing because, like I said, 2 years ago they was playing defense. So 2-3 years ago they was playing defense. I don't really know, but like I said, this one just felt like there was not a moment where anybody looked like they cared for maybe 20 seconds, and then it would go away. It was so I was watching it disappointed. You know what I mean? Like, there was just, to me, there was nothing memorable about this. Yeah. This game wouldn't even be fun to me. When I was little, first All-Star game I sat and watched was 2013. And it was cool to see all the dunks and all of that stuff, right? I don't even think Little Ty would have been entertained by this game. I don't think I would have. I think I'd have been like, the hell am I watching? You know what I'm saying?
It's bro. It's just like you try to come up with like superlatives and everything to describe like why they play how they play, and you can't because just doesn't make it doesn't like they literally for like you said for most of that game they didn't care. Like everybody was just jogging up the floor. They give the ball to Dame. They give the ball to Jayson Tatum. They just shoot a deep ass 3 unguarded. They do a little Euro step into the lane unguarded. Joel Embiid got so many dunking layups. It's ridiculous. Like they weren't doing anything. Nobody was playing defense. It was actually sad.
It was sad to watch.